Most men go through life believing they have to be louder, more visible, more emotionally expressive to be attractive to women. They've been told to speak more, chase harder, give constant attention, and explain their intentions endlessly. The truth is, what a woman truly responds to what activates something raw and primal within hers. Not the man who performs, but the man who remains still. Still not in action, but in presence. There is a deep difference. When a man is calm, truly grounded in himself, his energy carries a kind of silent authority. He doesn't need to raise his voice to be heard, doesn't need to explain himself to be understood. He simply is. And that is magnetic. Because in a world full of men trying too hard, overgiving, overspeaking, overreacting, his calm becomes contrast. He doesn't chase chaos, he holds stillness within it. He becomes the eye of the storm, and she feels that. Not in her mind, but in her body. It's not just attractive, it's calming to her nervous system. She leans in without knowing why, drawn to the man who doesn't flinch, doesn't scramble, doesn't get pulled into the emotional tides she herself is swept up in. That calm becomes safety. And in safety, her feminine begins to emerge. Slowly, softly, she feels like she can breathe again around him. She feels like she can relax. She doesn't have to lead the dynamic. She doesn't have to manage him. He's already steady. He's already anchored. And that stability, that solidness is something she may have never felt before. It makes her curious. It makes her test. Not because she wants to break him, but because she wants to believe he really is what he seems to be. And when he doesn't break, when he stays calm, her trust begins to grow. And with trust comes desire. Desire isn't built through constant effort or loud expressions. It's built through restraint, through the slow burn of presence. Most men rush to fill silence with words, to reassure her with constant validation, to answer every question before it's even fully asked. But that rush kills tension. It leaves no space for her to feel, no space for mystery to grow. The man who moves slowly, who speaks only when he has something worth saying, who doesn't feel the need to overexpress or overexplain, he becomes a mystery. And mystery is the birthplace of attraction. She doesn't want to be handed everything. She wants to feel like she's discovering you, layer by layer, moment by moment. She wants to feel that she's earning pieces of you, not because you're playing a game, but because your energy is too valuable to give away freely. That slowness, that calm restraint, builds a kind of tension that sits under the surface of your interactions. She feels it in your timing, in the way you hold eye contact a second longer than expected, in the way your touch is deliberate, never rushed. You don't bombard her with attention, you leave space, and in that space, her curiosity grows. Starts wondering what you're thinking, wondering what it would be like to see you lose control, wondering what's behind the silence, and that wondering becomes craving. She fills in the blanks with her imagination. You didn't give her answers, you gave her a question to keep returning to. And it's that emotional space, that quiet tension, that keeps her hooked. Because now it's not about what you've done for her, but how she feels around you. Most men try to win her over with more. You win her over with less, but with more power behind every moment. When you stay calm in the middle of her emotional chaos, something shifts in the way she sees you. First, she might push harder, more emotions, more tests, more intensity, because she's used to men who fold. She's used to reactions. She's used to her mood steering the dynamic. But when you don't move with her storm, when you remain rooted in your own emotional clarity, she begins to feel something she didn't even know she was looking for. Safety. That's safety. In the physical sense, but emotional safety. Not the safety of being fully seen without judgment. The safety of expressing without causing damage. The safety of knowing she can unravel and you'll still be there, holding steady. That's the moment she begins to soften. Her voice drops. Her energy changes. She stops trying to control and starts allowing. What? You didn't get there by overpowering her, or fixing her, or trying to manage her emotions. You got there by remaining composed. That kind of presence, that kind of containment, makes her feel like she can finally let go. When a woman feels like she can let go around you, her Femininity flourishes. She becomes more sensual, more open, more connected, not because you demanded it, but because you created the space for it. That's what real masculine energy does. It doesn't dominate. It anchors. And in anchoring her, you give her the freedom to feel everything without fear. You make her feel safe enough to surrender, not just physically, but emotionally. That's what separates a moment of attraction from a deeper bond. That's when she starts seeing you differently, not just as a man she desires, but as a man she can lean on. And the moment she feels that, the game is no longer about excitement, it becomes about trust. And trust is where devotion begins. Asterisk, your calmness does more than attract her, it elevates her. The more she experiences your grounded presence, the more she feels the need to rise in her own energy. Not because you pressured her, but because your stillness sets a tone. It creates a standard. She starts to feel that she has to meet you in that emotional space, not pull you out of it. That's what makes calmness powerful. It doesn't just affect you, it affects the entire dynamic. She becomes more intentional in how she shows up. More feminine, more nurturing, more emotionally attuned. Not because you asked her to, but because your energy calls for it. You've stopped being the kind of man who bends to gain her affection. Now you've become the kind of man who makes her want to earn her place in your world. That shift is subtle, but it's powerful. She starts to feel like your peace is something sacred, and rather than trying to disrupt it with tests or drama, she begins to protect it. And that's when everything changes, because now her desire for you isn't based on novelty or entertainment hits. Based on the way you make her feel about herself when she's near you, she doesn't want to lose that feeling, that emotional balance you create simply by being. You've become the grounding force she didn't know she needed. And after being exposed to that kind of strength, she can't go back. Men who talk too much, react too quickly, or spiral emotionally now feel unstable by comparison. You've shown her what it's like to feel seen and held without being fixed. You've raised her emotional standard without even trying. And once a woman has felt the stability of true masculine calm, she doesn't just want more, she becomes more asterisk over time. Your calmness begins to do something deeper than attraction. It leaves an imprint. It trains her nervous system to associate you with safety, with strength, with clarity. Even when you're not around, the memory of how she felt in your presence lingers. She compares every new interaction, every new conversation, to the way her body settled around you. It's not about what you said, it's about how you made her feel without saying a word. Your stillness, your emotional control, your grounded energy, it penetrated deeper than surface charm ever could. She remembers. How your silence wasn't empty, it was charged. How your eye contact felt like an anchor. How your touch wasn't frantic, but deliberate. And in that slowness, that restraint, everything felt amplified. You didn't give her everything yet, she felt more. Because you weren't trying to impress her, you were simply being fully present. That kind of energy doesn't fade with time. It becomes the new standard she subconsciously seeks out and rarely finds. And when she does encounter others, men who talk too fast, reveal too much, react too easily, something in her recoils. Because now she knows what emotional power feels like. She knows what it's like to be around a man who doesn't crumble when she's chaotic, who doesn't chase when she pulls away, who holds space without trying to fix her. And that memory, that contrast, it makes her restless. She's no longer satisfied by noise, performance, or surface-level attraction. Now, she's looking for a man who carries himself the way you did, slow, strong, calm. Because that kind of presence doesn't just attract her body, it speaks to something older, something instinctual inside her. And once she's felt that rare kind of masculine energy, everything else feels forgettable. You didn't just leave an impression, you rewired her expectations.